Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Danielle Snowflack. I am the Senior Director of Education at Edvotek, and we are back for a belated Ask Me Anything live stream. Thank you all so much for your patience and with the reschedule. There were some daycare concerns. Let's be realistic. We're all trying to be flexible still. And so thank you. And thank you so much for joining me today. So if this is your first Edvotek live stream, it's going to be a little bit different. But this is our company. We are a biotechnology education company. We were founded over 30 years ago now by Dr. Jack Churchian, who was a professor of biochemistry at Georgetown University. Looking at what was happening in the educational world with his own kids' education, he noticed that a lot of the amazing innovations in biotech were not being brought into the teaching classroom. And thus, Edvotek was born, and we continued to grow and work with researchers, outreachers, biohackers around the world to really get people to get their hands on biotechnology in an easy, fun, and accessible way. And we love to work with the next generation of scientists to really demystify what is going on in the lab and to get people to experience real life science. And so I think that's pretty important. And I hope if you're here today too, you do as well. So let's get down to business. This live stream is going to be a little bit different than others. So I have no experiments planned. What I'm going to do is kind of talk about some planning items for 2022-23. I know many of you have not even ended your school year yet, and we're already thinking about the next school year. But this is a really important time for ordering. And I want to point out some new things, just some things that can really help you as you're thinking about what kids to bring into your classrooms, how to split things up for the new year, for the new school year. In case you have, 2 classes of 15 students, how many kids do you need? Can you split things? So we'll talk about some of that. I'll talk about some resources for back to school lectures. I'll point out one of my favorite new things we've been doing, which is our TikTok. And then, I have upcoming professional development. I don't know that I actually put in a slide for that, but I'm happy to talk about that and the ways that we can help you over the summer to work with your fellow educators to become more comfortable with some of these biotechnology applications. So I have some prepared slides. I'm going to go through and point out some things that I think are important, but if there's anything you want to know, please put it in the chat box. The other thing you can do is if you're uncomfortable putting questions in the chat, Maria has put the form for our professional development certificate in the chat box. Please feel free to put it there, your question there in the chat box. If you're uncomfortable asking via chat, we'll fill out that form, put in your questions for the new school year, and I'll email you back, so you can get in touch with us that way. We are offering professional development certificates for this lecture. So if you would like one of those, again, please fill out that form and we will send you a certificate as well. But again, this is your time with me. Ask questions while I'm going through some stuff. So I wanted to point out some new and improved experiments. Before I talk about these particular experiments, I want to bring you to our website really quickly. So let me change the settings and hope it goes as well as it did when I was practicing. Okay, here we go. So on our website, edvotek.com/new products, you can pretty much see everything that is new that we have to offer. We want to highlight those things really quickly because we know you have your favorites that you've used. You might always go to those, but if you're looking for a new option for some experiments, it's going to be on these pages. We have some cool kits that focus on COVID biology. We have some sampler kits where you can try a lot of different biotechnology experiments. And there's a lot of fun stuff, auger art, models, CRISPR simulations. So definitely check out what there is to offer in the new products area if you're looking to kind of liven up your lectures for this year. And of course, we have our fantastic new equipment. The Edge system is certainly a favorite. But one thing that is also fantastic that I just want to point out is if you're currently already using our electrophoresis system and you want to use that cyber and you want to use that blue light, we have the True Blue Junior now, which is a way to retrofit your existing M12s so that you can use the blue light system as well. So it's super cool. One thing I also love about it is you can use it for your GFP plates, so you can get away from having to use the handheld UV. It just makes it a lot easier than trying to share that one light in the dark corner. This visibility is really great. So those are our new products. Definitely start there. I'm going to go through and point out like more specifics for new things and improved things. But that is one place to check as you are putting together your wish list for next school year. There are a couple experimental changes that I want to point out with our existing experiments. So 303 is a favorite. That is our Exploring Biotechnology with GFP experiment, where you start from transforming the genetic material that codes for our green fluorescent protein gene into bacteria, and then you extract it from those bacteria and you analyze it with chromatography and then with electrophoresis. And so it's a super cool, comprehensive biotech experience that our teachers love to do with their students, because it really it's a mini course in bioprocessing. But we listen when our educators want changes. And so there are 3 things that we really changed in that experiment. We brought in our enhanced transformation protocol, which gives you a higher efficiency for the experiment. We've improved the ELISA so that you can do it a little bit more quickly, because we know that was a hang up sometimes in class. And then we also have our marker, we don't need to boil that anymore, the protein molecular weight marker. So, that was sometimes a point where, stuff got held up, and it's not going to be a hold up anymore moving forward. And so these are little things just to make the experimentation easier and to ensure experimental success. But it's the same great experiment that you've used before. DNA fingerprinting using restriction enzymes is another, student favorite. It is a forensics experiment, but it is, again, bringing in a lot of those higher level concepts, like with restriction digests and actually doing the digest yourself. You can learn about the enzymes and the history of the enzymes. You can talk about DNA fingerprinting, bioethics in that area. There's a lot of different content that can be covered with that particular workshop, with that particular kit. And I believe I covered this one in a past live stream. But this experiment is fun. It's a great introduction to molecular biology in terms of DNA digestion. It was previously for 6 groups. Now it's up to 8. We've expanded it to be able to accommodate 8 groups, which is great. And then we've also put CyberSafe in that kit. So here's another place where we've listened to our teachers. A lot of them were getting the CyberSafe as an add-on. And with so many people using it in that way, why not just include it? And so, we listened. And hopefully for the next school year, if you are doing this experiment, you will have that included, which is great. Next up, you may be currently using our ready-to-load electrophoresis kits. They are, really great ways, again, to bring biotechnology into your classroom. We have many different scenarios, and we've kind of expanded our ready-to-load experiments. And so we've done that in a couple ways. The first is if you want CyberSafe with those ready-to-load kits, look up your scenario. So if you want to do the DNA fingerprinting ready-to-load scenario, look it up on our website, you'll find it, and then scroll to the bottom and you'll see listed, your particular scenario -S. And that's going to be a kit that has the CyberSafe included already. Some of our instructors have plenty of agarose, DNA stain, and buffer on site, and they don't want that stuff in their kits. So if you want just if you just want the quick strips and you don't want the rest of the materials, you're going to look for our Dash A kits, and you're going to find them in the same way that you find the Dash S kits. Let's go to our next slide. Perishable items, again, you're not going to find much change here from past years. If you order your kits over the summer, we will, depending on when you order, we will include a perishable coupon. But when you get back to school, as soon as you start getting back into your classroom, you're going to want to call and request those perishables. We get really busy in August, September. As you can imagine, schools across the country are coming back into session. In the United States, and everybody needs their perishables. So if you're planning on an experiment at first week, that second week of school, you're going to want to make sure you get your hands on them early. However, if you receive your perishables early and your plans change, we have the shelf life of all the perishables listed on the components. Most are good for 9 months. So you do have a bit of wiggle room there in terms of your perishables. Now just remember, I'm going to keep talking. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm happy to kind of bring up web pages on the Edvotek website and let you see what's going on. Some helpful hints for receiving your kits, right? So you'll be getting your kits over the summer or in the fall, and there are a couple things that we recommend doing when you receive them, and kind of like bookkeeping behind the scenes when you receive them. And so I just want to point some of them out in this slide. So if you're buying some experiments from us, some equipment from us, those items are going to be invoiced as they're shipped to you. When you get the boxes into the classroom, a helpful hint from our customer service team is to write your shipment ID number and the date you received the kit on the box in marker. And so like if I got a kit tomorrow and my invoice number was 12345, I'd put like shipment ID 12345, date received. If I receive it tomorrow, I'd put like June 10th. Then I'd put that on there. And so if there's any problems, like then when you call in, we have that information right at hand, and we can really help you work through those issues a lot more quickly. And that then we're not like, oh, you're not digging for stuff, we're not digging for stuff. It just really helps the whole process go along more smoothly. When you receive your kit, when you receive your perishables, you're going to want to download all protocols that are associated with your specific kit and your specific literature. So as you can see here, I have a label from our perishables from kit 905. And what you see here is a lot of really helpful information. You see the kit number, which is 905, the components, which is what's going to be in the bag. You see storage, right? So this is when you get your perishables in, look at the labels right away, because you're going to see where it needs to be stored. Can it be stored at room temperature? Does it need to go in the fridge? Does it need to go in the freezer? This will ensure that your reagents are ready to go when you are ready to go, and they haven't like gone off over time. Use within. So if you're going to use it within 9 months, it tells you right here to use it within 9 months. That will let you know how much time you have with those reagents. It's going to give you the lot number. Again, this lot number is really critical for us if you have a problem more than anything, because what we can do is we can look and see if we've had any other problems with that lot number. We can pull that same lot number off the shelves and run the experiment in-house to see if it's a problem, with the reagents themselves. We can look at the quality control results from that particular lot number and send you the results just so you can see, what it should look like. And then we see this last line, these components work with literature version and then the version number. And this is really important when you get your perishables on site. You want to make sure that your perishables match up with the literature version that you're using. And so this becomes a problem if you've used a kit for 5 years and we've switched it. Sometimes, and we're not just switching it for fun. We're always switching when there is an improvement to be made to the experiments. And you might have been using a past version for a few years. and you pull out that same dog-eared marked up version to do the experiment this year and something has changed. There might be components that are missing. There might be new components. So you're always going to want to make sure your components match the literature version that you are using to run the experiment. And what I've done is I've taken a corner from one of our lit PDFs, and I've shown you where to find the version number. So you're going to want to look at the bottom of the page in that tiny legal text. You will see a version number there, and that should match the version number on your box. It should match the version number on your perishables. And if it doesn't, before you start anything, just give us a call. Yeah, it's no big deal. We have a wonderful technical service team that will talk to you and we'll figure out what needs to be done. If there's, reagents that you could throw away, if there's reagents you need to get, we want to make sure that you have the best possible experience with our kits and our experiments. And so when in doubt, give us a call, give us all these numbers, and we'll help you get your experiment to run right. Next up, the literature links. So you'll see also, on this perishable form, and I got to use this arm, you'll see on this perishable form at the bottom, there is a link. And I actually blacked out the link just in case some smart kids are out here watching this, trying to figure out how to download the instructor's guide. But what basically each kit comes with links, and those links are going to be towards the downloadable PDF. For your instructor's guide, for your teacher's guide, etc. Those links are case sensitive. And so whatever they look like, make sure you enter it into your search bar exactly like it is on this form. And that's a good way to be able to get your literature download. We are trying to be green. We want to have as little paper out there as possible. These links have allowed us to do that. And so, we just want to make sure that you get everything downloaded, but also that your students can't find it super easily. If there's any questions on this, please let me know. Again, if you're uncomfortable asking in the chat, you can put it in the form, and we're again happy to send you, a personalized email answering your specific question. But I'm here to talk to you. So if you have a question, like I said, I can bring up web pages. We can look at kits online. We can look at a lot of our stuff and really try to, answer your questions on how to start setting up for success for next year already. I know it's crazy. Let's see, what do I have next? Splitting up ELISA kits. So this is something we've talked about in the past. But you know what? Like, one of our biggest questions when we're talking to instructors is, how can I split kits among multiple sections, multiple days? If I have two groups, but if I have three groups and I need two kits, how do I do that? And that's kind of where I'm going to try and talk about it here. So our number one request in terms of ELISA kits are preparation, because there are temperature and time sensitive reagents included. And so you have to remember all of the ELISA, not all, but the vast majority of the ELISA experiments that we're offering through our offerings are using antibodies and antigens, and these can be temperature sensitive. Yeah, it's just the nature of these biological materials and in doing the authentic science. So we've always tried to be as flexible as possible with our experiments. Most experiments, if not all, come with detailed instructor's guides that contain timelines and prep instructions to make sure that you are preparing stuff within the right time frame. So for example, with the ELISA, you can prepare. So again, if we are looking here, you can see we can prepare our wash buffer, really, I think that's one of the green ones up top. It's really small on my screen. And it would be small on your screen too, but that's okay. If you open up the literature from your ELISAs, you would see it there. But you can prepare your wash buffer really far ahead of time. There's nothing in there that is going to be unstable once you've diluted it. You can prepare it a long time before the experiment and still get excellent results. And any reagents like that are going to be coated in green. Our yellow reagents are those that are best prepared closer to the date you're going to perform the experiment. I'm going to say that's within a week. And so we want to make sure they're stable. The closer to preparation that you can use them, the better, but you've got a bit of wiggle room. And there are other reagents that need to be prepared closer to the time you're performing the experiment. And for the ELISA, that is your diluted secondary antibody. I also like to recommend that the EBTS, which is the enzyme substrate solution, be prepared as close to the experiment as possible, just for the best results. Oops, sorry, my throat's getting a little dry. That might not also always be possible, especially if you're offering labs on different days. If you have block scheduling, A/B scheduling, you can't always do the experiment with all of your lab sections on the same day. And that's okay. With the way the reagents are, we tested them, especially in the past couple years, given that everything has been everything has been a little bit crazy with the way class schedules have been, so we wanted to test to see how long these reagents would be good. And so we still see the best results, like with our EBTS and our secondary enzymes, if they can be used within 24 hours of preparation. So if you have a lab section on Monday, you have a lab section on Tuesday, that's going to be your, best results within those 24 hours. However, we still see pretty good to great, ELISA results within 5 days of dilution. That way, all of your lab sections are meeting with, as long as your lab sections are meeting within 5 days of one another, you should be okay. You still want to store everything as indicated in the protocol. So just because you're setting it up 5 days in advance doesn't mean you can leave those reagents out at room temperature. You're going to want to follow the protocol for storage. But as long as you're within that 5 days of preparation, you should be okay. Now let's talk about transformation. Again, most of this hasn't changed since, the last time we talked about this. It is not going to be a difficult experiment for you to split up over time. The vast majority of the prep can be done well in advance of the lab. So this is a good one to split up and to do over multiple sections. Plates can be poured and stored in the refrigerator for weeks. I actually like using older plates for transformation. They've had the opportunity to dry out a little bit because when you use the fresh plates and they're really wet, you'll get smeary colonies a lot more often. So I always recommend pouring the plates a few days in advance. I pour the plates, I let them sit out overnight to dry out a little bit, and then I put them in the fridge. And then you get less moisture on the surface of the plates and you get nice crisp colonies. You don't want to go too long though, because over time, the antibiotic will break down. So I like to pour my plates, let's say today is Thursday. If I poured my plates Thursday today, I'd let them dry out overnight. I'd put them in the fridge for Friday and they're going to be good to go on Monday. The DNA, the calcium chloride, and the recovery broth, those can all be aliquoted ahead of time and stored in the fridge. I just want to emphasize that the recovery broth, if you're doing it over multiple sections over multiple days, definitely aliquot that. Just because if you have a pipetting station, it could lead to contamination. And if you're doing it over several days and taking it in and out of the fridge, you're going to get some funky stuff growing in there. So if you're doing it in the same day, you might be able to get away with not aliquoting it. If you're doing it over a couple of days, definitely aliquot that recovery broth for each section so that you can go to the station and do it that way. It's just that's a very rich broth. It's got a lot of good stuff to kind of get those bacteria healing after transformation. And there's a lot of opportunities for bacteria to get in there. The key prep step with our transformations is going to be with the source plates. If you're doing the traditional toothpick transformation, and even with, I don't know if this is important with the enhanced transformation because you're growing that culture, so you want to make sure you time that culture correctly. But that's a little bit more forgiving, I feel. if you're doing the toothpick transformation, you need your source plates to be prepared 16 to 20 hours before the transformation. But we include 5 Bacto beads. We include enough for 5 source plates. So if you have a section on Monday and then you have another section on Wednesday, you'll have enough reagents that you can split them and prepare the source plates fresh. After the transformed bacteria have been incubated, so like after you do transformation, you plate them, you're going to want to let them grow overnight in the 37, but if your students aren't back in class the next day, you can throw those plates in the fridge and they're good for a week. If you start going over that, you're going to get like a lot of satellite colonies, and you might get some other funky stuff growing on that plate. So, I would say definitely store them in the refrigerator for about a week or so. And actually, the longer you wait right after transformation, so if you do have to throw them in the fridge, especially with our rainbow transformation, if you throw them in the fridge over the weekend, those bacteria are going to continue to make the proteins and the colors just get darker and darker. And so if you're doing our auger art experiments or our steam extensions, I always like to throw the plates in the refrigerator for the weekend, and then you come back and you see these really dark colors. Next, if there's any questions, please put them in the chat or put them in the form. I'm just kind of covering some common questions that we get, but I am here to be a resource for you to ask questions. So we always have people splitting up our electrophoresis kits, and these are super simple to divide up, especially with our ready to load kits. There isn't a lot that is particularly sensitive. There's just one thing you have to be careful with, and I'll point that out. So you can make the electrophoresis buffer in bulk when you get it. Just follow the instructions that are in the kit, and that can sit at room temperature for weeks. You're going to want to prepare the gels a little bit closer to class. You can bulk prep them. Again, that is in the instructions. You're going to remove the gels you're going to pour your gels, remove them from the trays, and then store under buffer in a plastic bag or a container. You can store them in the refrigerator until they're needed, and they can last for a really long time that way. But if you store them too long, things will grow. So I like to basically say you've got about a week with those where you can ensure that probably nothing's going to grow in the fridge. The gels are still going to be great quality, and you can just pull one out of the fridge when you're ready to do the experiment. The only caveat there is if you're using CyberSafe in the gel, I would put a little bit of CyberSafe in the storage buffer as well, because what you're going to find is that there is diffusion, right? So you've got CyberSafe in the gel. If it's in an aqueous solution with no CyberSafe, it's going to diffuse out of the gel, and then you won't be able to get as crisp bands as you would otherwise. So if you are storing a CyberSafe gel, you're going to just store it in a plastic bag. Again, a little bit of buffer. You can put a little bit of buffer on top of the gel and wrap it up so there's a minimal amount of buffer. Or if you have a larger container with your gels, just put some CyberSafe into that buffer, so that it will not have that problem. And those gels I would use a lot faster. I would probably use them within a day or two of pouring, just so that you get the best quality possible. And one more caveat there, CyberSafe will break down over time. It is a fluorescent molecule, and it breaks down if it's exposed to too much light. So, you can make the gels ahead of time, but I would use those more quickly than the ones that you'd be using for Flash Blue stained gels. Flash Blue is our visible DNA stain. That solution can be made in advance and stay for a long time. The gels do not require to have anything in the gel before you use it, other than the electrophoresis buffer and the agarose, of course. And so, that one is a little bit more flexible in terms of the gel storage. Now, diluting the buffer and preparing the gels are the hardest part of preparing for electrophoresis experiments, because you all know about our quick strips, which are fantastic. They're already pre-aliquoted. You store them in the fridge, and when you're ready to do it, whether it's 1 group or 5 groups or the full 8 groups, you just snap those off and give them to the students. For most gels, for most DNA gels, I'll cover it on the next slide, but those gels can be stored for a period of time afterwards. So if your students can't look at the gels right away, they can come back and look at them later. The only caveat is if you're doing one of our dielectrophoresis gels, you need to look at those results right after you run the gel. If you store those in the fridge for overnight, the dyes are so small, and without having that electrical current pushing them through, they start to diffuse out, and within a few hours you can't see anything. So if your students can't hang around to see the dye electrophoresis gels finished, just snap a picture with your cell phone. It's really great that we all have like high resolution cameras with us every day, everywhere we go. And so if your students don't have time to see the results and analyze them, they can take a picture, then they can then analyze everything, on paper after class. That's really the caveat there. So again, if there's questions, let me know. I'm happy to talk about anything. Otherwise, I'm just going to go on to DNA visualization. You may have seen that there is a new video. Oh, hold on. There is a new video available. Let me go back. I went too far. There's a new video available on our YouTube page that focuses on how to store electrophoresis gels. And it goes really in depth and shows our study that we did to show how long each of them are good for. We did cyber safe gels. We did flash blue gels. Basically what we found was you take the gels after they've run, you wrap them up in plastic wrap, you put the gel on a piece of plastic wrap. You put like 1 or 2 mils of buffer on top of it, and then wrap it up and put it in the refrigerator. And what we've seen is that with our cybersafe gels, you have about 2 or 3 days until the DNA and the dye start to diffuse, and you don't really see the smaller bands as well. With the flash blue gels, you can keep them in the fridge for up to a week and still be able to visualize the results pretty well. And with the flash blue gels, I feel like if you leave them in a little bit of buffer for like an extra day, your results even look better than they do when you just stain them quickly. And so definitely, if you have questions about storing the gels after so that your students can analyze them, check out our video on YouTube. You're already here on YouTube, so just go over to our playlist and take a look. We also have more information about it on our blog. There's a lot of ways that you can kind of be flexible with these experiments and still have your students be able to see every piece of what is being done. So it's never too hold on. Let me go back. So it's never too early to teach lab safety and to start thinking about what you're doing for lab safety. Today is my day of technical challenges. I suppose it's good that we're having a more flexible live stream instead of one that's a little bit more regimented where I'm doing experiments. But basically, like your first lectures when you get back should be about lab safety. And we even have a really great new blog post on it that came out last week or maybe this week, about best practices in teaching lab safety and establishing lab safety protocols. And this is something that you could do over the summer to prepare for the new school year. You can have lab safety contracts. You can have materials prepared. And we even on our blog point out, we have a blog post that focuses on ways that you can actually use safety data sheets to facilitate discussions about chemical safety. So students can look up common molecules and see what it says when you find their SDSs, and then talk about what hazards mean, and how we use these chemicals and how we can be safe with them. We have a ton of fun videos. One of our new things that we've been doing, if you haven't seen it already, we are doing TikToks, right? And so TikToks are these really short videos, and we try to use them for fun to teach like quick scientific concepts. So now I will play this TikTok. This is something that you can play at the beginning of the school year. It focuses on personal protective equipment. So... And so, I love using things like that as a way to kind of show the difference between good PPE and bad PPE in the lab, right? Like we want to make sure that, our students are protecting themselves in the lab. And so this is like a lighthearted way to be able to start addressing the concepts of proper PPE. And we have a lot of other fun stuff on our TikTok. So definitely check us out there, and use those videos like you use our other videos in your lectures, and in your Blackboard or your other class learning management systems, as a resource to kind of teach, and stitch with us too. I know people do the stitching. I sounded like my mom there and saying people do this, but you know what, like, yeah, like, bring us into your TikToks. We think it's totally fun, and even have your students duet with us, with some of our science TikToks, and we'll see how that goes. We also have a wonderful talented TikTok creator who knows what all those things mean. Free online resources to help you teach. So you might be thinking about new lectures. You might be looking for slides to help you with your presentations. You might even be looking for little bits of busy work because you have to be away, for a certain day, and you're looking for resources for subs. On our guides and lessons plan, we have a ton of resources to help you prepare for the new school year, to help you refresh your lectures. We have all of our Edvotek at Home series, which all have PowerPoint presentations associated, and they're editable. So you can pull out the slides that you want to and put them into your presentations. You can have them available to the students as kind of like a pre-lab training. We have printable activity sheets. If you're looking for fun activities that are seasonal, in the fall, if you want to do a science pumpkin carving contest or even participate in ours, or holiday decorating, etc. We have little resources for all of that too. And then just, fun coloring sheets if you're looking, even if you're just looking to have you occupy your own children for a few hours. There's some fun biotech resources there for enrichment at home. And so that's kind of where I was. That's what I had. I think that is I forgot to update this link in the slideshow, but Maria has put the correct link into the slideshow, to request this presentation, or to ask us any questions. But really the best way to get in touch with us, call, email. We really have a fantastic team. In the summer is the best time to call because everyone's chill. Like, we're not rushing to do the experiment tomorrow. We can really help you get ahead of any obstacles that you might be having in integrating biotech, questions about ordering, questions about how to update and bring in new experiments. You can even reach out to us over the summer, and we will Zoom in with your school, with your biology or biotechnology department to do basic training on a lot of biotech education. And so that's something that's a lot of fun. And it's better because we can actually do it through Zoom. So you can ask me questions one-on-one, in a little bit easier format. And then it's a smaller group of people who are involved. If you have Edvotek equipment, we could even do the experiment alongside one another, where you could get the experiment, I have the experiment, and we can work through it and, figure out the tricky parts together. So that you can learn more about by emailing us at curriculum@edvotek.com or even info@edvotek.com, or call. We're just happy to be able to work with you, to get your biotech program moving. So please be sure to reach out. We're a happy, friendly group of scientists who just really want your students to get their hands on biotechnology and get excited by it. Like I said, this was a quick live stream. I'm gonna continue wrapping up. If there's any questions, definitely put them in now. You're on our YouTube channel now watching this, so you already know we are youtube.com/Edvotek Inc. But we also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And TikTok, which is where we have a lot of new content coming out as well. We try to post new videos to YouTube regularly. And we're running contests on Facebook and Twitter, and Instagram, at different times during the school year. So you may have been involved with our Teacher Appreciation Week, live streams, which not live streams, social media contests, which are always fun. And, we're just really happy to be here to support you. Thank you for joining me, Daleen. I hope I said that right. I'm terrible with names. But we're happy to have you join us for this live stream. And if there's any way we can help you moving in the future, moving with your biotech stuff in the future, definitely give us a call, give us an email. We really want to make sure you have a great next school year. Oh, good. I'm glad I said it right. Thank you. And thank you for joining me today. It's always nice to have people joining in for our live streams. This is a lot of fun for me because I get to engage with the material and I get to engage with our educators and, learn about what you're doing, and you can hear about what we're doing. So it is 2:41. It is a little bit early, but I am gonna turn it off. I am going to end the stream. But definitely, if there's any way we can help you, let us know and we will. So have a wonderful day, everybody. Don't forget to like this video. If you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to us. That way you get alerts the next time we do these live streams. And we look forward to seeing you on our next live stream. Also in that form, if you have an idea and you want to see us do something that we haven't live streamed already, let us know. Because we're always looking for ideas on how to, or ideas of content that you all want to see. Because I know what I find is exciting, and I want to make sure that I am showing you what you think is exciting too. So have a great day. Have a great weekend. Have a great end of the school year and a great summer, and we'll see you on the next live stream. Have a great afternoon. Bye now.